All right. In order to understand the first step of the classification theorem of compact surfaces, we need to know what a triangulation is, right? So here is an example. So a torus is kind of cut into little triangles, right? So now we are not going to prove that every surface admits a triangulation. So this is Rado's theorem, Rado, about 1920, quite old theorem, but it's very technical and very difficult to prove, surprisingly. Although I think it is intuitively kind of clear that if you have a surface, then you can cut it into triangles. So the next thing that I'm going to avoid is another technical difficulty, but it's not very hard. So this you will be able to do by yourself when you learn the proper rigorous definition of compactness. So if our surface is compact, then there will be just finitely many such triangles, right? So the important thing is that if we have a compact surface, then we can cut it into triangles, right? And if the surface is, and there will be finitely many such triangles. All right, now, what we are going to do is, while we cut it into triangles, we are going to keep track how we do it, right? So basically, the idea is that if we cut along this line here, then we are going to label both sides of this line with some letters, say A here, A here. And also, since we can always, this is needed to be able to glue them back together, right? So we know that if we cut here, so we know that later we'll be able to glue it back together. But also we need to keep the direction of the line because we want to distinguish between gluing like this and gluing like this, right? So after we cut our surface into triangles and just scatter them around, so what we are going to do to get is something like this, is a collection of triangles with arrows and with some kind of labels indicating how they are to be glued back together. And so basically the idea is that if we have a triangle, we say label A here and another triangle with A, then we should be able to glue them back together. Like, let me give you an example. Like there is A here, there is A here. So in order to recover the original surface, we should glue these two triangles back together. Right, so then there is B here. So we can glue B here to B here, and so on, right? So the idea is that once we disassemble it into triangles, if these triangles are labeled, then we will be able to recover the original surface. Okay, now, so once the surface has been disassembled into these triangles, we just start gluing them back one by one. And it is clear that once we glue them back one by one, so the in the end we are going to get something like, well, so what you see here is that how we can recover the original surface. Yeah, but suppose we do not make do not glue B to B, right? So we just stop here. So we do not make like an actual cylinder. So instead we are going to just stop when it is just still a collection of triangles on the plane, right? So, and then we will get something like this. So probably it's going to be like A here, maybe B, probably, I don't know, C, and so on and so forth. So maybe D. But then imagine that we got, say, E here, and also E here. Then we are not going to actually do this gluing, because then it's not going to be plain anymore. And so we'll just we are going to just attach triangles one by one, glue new triangles rather than old triangles that are already here. So, and it is clear that in the end, we are going to just get a single polygon with gluing instructions on its edges, right? So it could be something complicated. So probably like, I don't know, let me draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7, 8. So something like this. So this could probably be A, this probably is also A, this is B, let's say this is also B, this is C, this is C, and this could be D, and this is, say, also D. Something like this, like a polygon with gluing instructions on its edges. So the reason is because it is made out of this initial triangle. So initially, probably we might have, I don't know, had like a lot of different triangles. Probably, yeah, 8 triangles. We will just glue them according to instructions, one by one, and then in the end we would get something like this, like this polygon. Now this polygon is called a plane model for a surface. Usually we say plane model for a surface, and my point being is that it is possible to recover this surface from this plane model, and in some sense the surface is that plane model. So so here is on the picture, you see how you can construct a torus from its plane model. But one more remark is about how we denote a plane model, right? So here is an example, a different example. So suppose we have a hexagon, right? So it has 3 pairs of edges. So which means that since gluing instructions are going to be pairwise, so it's always like that, always pairwise, because originally we had a surface, and originally when we disassembled it into triangles, so these triangles they meet along edges. So every edge, it's going to appear twice in there. So if let's say we have A here, I don't know, A here, let's say B here, B here, and let's say C here and C here, something like this. Now, in order to kind of encode this, we need to pick some initial point. Let's say this is going to be the initial point, and we're going to move in the counterclockwise direction, right? And then we're going to, starting from this point, moving in the counterclockwise direction, we're going to write down all the labels that appear. So the first is going to be A, and the direction of the arrow on A is the same as the counterclockwise direction. So which means we strike A. So then we have C. Then we have B. And now notice that now the next copy of A appears in the opposite direction, right? So in the clockwise direction. So, and if it appears in the opposite direction, we write A inverse. Then we are going to write B. Then we are going to write C inverse. All right. So this is sort of an encoding for our plane model. So if we have a plane model represented like as a picture, we can always just encode it as a sequence of letters, and some of them with inverses. So like here, if we start from here, we will get A, B, A inverse, B inverse, and so on, right? So every plane model can be encoded as a sequence of letters and in inverses.